What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about one of my favorite effects, one of the hardest hitting, most practical effects you can do. We're going to go over my touches, my handling on the transposition. Now, transposition is absolutely an incredible effect. There's so many different ways and little touches and handlings on it, but I'm going to try to give you some of the most important subtleties and things that can really help you take this effect to the next level. If you stick around to the end of the video and the other ideas, I'm going to talk about some really unique ways to up the ante and make the transpo feel like so much more than what it actually is. As always, if you guys like these type of videos, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that notification bell, helps me quite a bit. The channel continues to grow, which is super awesome. And I also wanted to mention, if you guys are interested in signing up for some private lessons, you can check those out at the link below. Spots are filling up pretty quickly for this month, so if you want to get in there, hit me up, send me a message, and you can check out the lessons at the link below. Without any further ado, let's jump right into the video on the basic transpo.
This guy got the pizza?
All right, just sign it. Anything you want, your name, whatever. On the front, Yeah. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna see it in a second. It doesn't matter if I see it. It's not that kind of trick. I'm not like. All right. Let me see it. All right, watch. Here's what we'll do. So your card was the Queen of Diamonds. Hold out your hand for me like that. Take your other hand, put it on top.
Wait, I did film that.
All right, watch.
Magica.
I'm gonna take the next card, King of Diamonds. Okay. Watch. Can you just pulse your hand, just up like this, just a little bit, Yeah.
Be gentle.
Just focus on the card.
Let me see the card.
No. Do another one.
Yeah, we got it. Alright guys, so the basic transpo is an awesome effect, something that is super easy, very beginner friendly, but as someone who's more advanced, more experienced, I would highly recommend you still have a version of a transpo in your repertoire and something that you do regularly. It's a great opener because it's so easy, quick, and it hits very hard. So, as most of you probably know, for a transpo, you require a duplicate. Now, there are ways to do a transpo without a duplicate. I've taught an effect called transfer that you can go check out right here that is a sort of impromptu transpo type effect with a different spin on it that doesn't use a duplicate. So you can check out something like that if you are interested. Now, I always carry a duplicate with me in my deck. I just leave it reversed on top of the deck. So as I pull the cards out of the box, I can leave it behind if I don't need it. I'm going to talk to you guys about the basic handling of this effect and how I do it. I've spent a good portion of time trying to make this effect as streamlined and as easy as possible. So I'm going to talk to you about my handling in this video. So first things first, to get you a duplicate, doesn't matter what they are, as long as neither of them are signed, of course, so that they don't match. I've had that happen before where I take a duplicate from another deck, I just throw it in this deck and I don't check that the one that was already in this deck wasn't signed, and that can obviously present a problem. So the starting position, both duplicates go face down on top of the deck and you're ready to go. It's super easy, super simple. If you're coming into it from another effect, it's really easy to go through, call the two duplicates that you need to the top of the deck, or just simply cut them to the top on the offbeat. So the first thing that is important with the transpo is to emphasize the free choice, right? We don't have too many moments throughout a transpo of magic happening, and we want to make as many moments of possible opportunities for them to feel fooled and everything to feel as fair and as examinable as possible. So the first thing is in the selection. So I really like doing a spread for this, and I do a spread where they can see the cards. So this really gives them the opportunity for a fair, free choice of absolutely any card. I even do like doing it from a named card as well, if you'd like to do that. And if they happen to name your duplicate, do in a card to impossible location or something different, that would be absolutely incredible if you happen to have a duplicate, right? Use that opportunity. But anyway, so you're gonna spread that deck, hold it up towards them like this, and say take any card you want. All you need to do is push off a bit of a block at the top so that those duplicates are not visible as you're spreading, and they will take any card that they want. So once they have selected their card, definitely make them sign it. Get your Sharpie, have them sign it. It's just another moment that can make this feel absolutely impossible. And it does a great thing of dispelling the fact that there could have been a duplicate card, right? That's what a signature is generally for. And lots of magicians even say, I'm having you sign it to prove that I can't have another one like that. And I think that's a fine thing to say. Some people don't like to say that, but I think it's okay. It will dispel the idea of a duplicate even for your selection, right? It'll just put sort of a curtain on this whole effect that he can't be duplicating any cards because I've signed it, right? Even though, you know, the other one's not going to be signed, it takes that idea out of their head at this moment and they won't think about it later on. Now that they've taken this card, there's one important thing that you want to do as they're signing it, and that's the other important reason for having them sign it. As they're over there signing it, and this is one of the things that I've added to the transpo that makes the handling really, really streamlined. I used to do this moment where you take the card back from them and do a top change, and then you could now get into your double lift load, but I found a much more easy and streamlined approach, which is as they're signing that card, right, you can have them show their friends. All you're gonna do is kill the deck towards you and flip one of the duplicates face up. All right, that's how I do it. It's super easy. I just flip it face up. No one's watching, no one's paying attention, and I just keep the deck slightly towards me, or if you're standing, drop it at your side. Another option, if you don't like doing the flip during the presentation, you can change the setup slightly, where you have one duplicate face down, one duplicate face up, and then you take a random cover card and place it on top. Now the selection process is exactly the same. Just push over a block so they can't see that face down card. They do their selection, and now as they're signing it, you're just going to do a slip cut to get into the exact same position, right? So they're off signing that card and you just slip cut the top card into the middle of the deck very casually. It just looks like this, and you keep the deck towards you, and now you're in the exact same position. So those are two options. I personally, you know, I just like the ease of setup of just doing this. So as they're signing it, I'll just flip it over, not even trying to hide anything. The attention's here, there's no heat on you. I just flip it over and I'm ready like this. Now, we have the deck with our wrist towards us so they can't see this. And another thing that you can do to get ready is get your break. So just do a push off and get your pinky break, okay? If you need any help with the pinky break, I've talked about that in a video that you can check out there. So those are the two things that you can do, which are gonna get you so far ahead, and it's gonna completely eliminate any sort of scary moment you might have when you're doing your first move, which will be that double lift that's coming up, because you'll be totally set up. You don't have to do anything, right? So as they're doing that, you're just gonna flip it and get a break, and you're ready to go. Now when you take their card back, you know, you say something like, okay, I don't want you to forget this card, and now you're gonna place it face up on top of the deck as you bring the wrist down, and it's gonna cover that card, right? So now you're loaded, and that's what's so great about this. As you take the card back, you go straight into the load, right? So there's now no switching of the cards and then having to flip over the double lift just to flip it over again to put it in their hand, right? It solves several issues of just having it like this, taking the card back, placing it on top, and then, you know, reminding them not to forget their card and placing it in their hand. So at this moment, we have the break, we've taken their card back, put it on top as we come into view. And you just want that to look smooth, so it looks like, you know, very natural, very normal, and now you're ready. So you have your break, super easy. We're just gonna do a little double lift. Again, if you need help on the double lift, I will link a video up there. You're gonna do the double, flip it over, and have them hold out their hand. You say, I want you to hold out your hand for me, and you place that card, which is the duplicate, inside of their hand, right? So you place it on this. Now here's an important moment. You know, let's say you're outside, you know, you don't want it to blow away, or you don't want them to, you know, prematurely turn it over, nothing like that. What you're gonna do is you're gonna place it in their hand and keep your finger on top of it. And then you say, give me your other hand. And as they bring their other hand, only then do you lift your hand off, you know, put it on the back of their palm and help them guide it like this. And once their hands are together, I give them a little kind of squeeze and I say, just keep your hands tight like this. Don't let that card get anywhere. Don't let me go anywhere near it. And I think saying, don't let me go anywhere near it is a very crucial line, because they're never gonna separate their hands now. Once you've said that, you've given a justification for them not to move their hands because they don't want you to get to it. It's not that you don't want them to see it or anything like that. It's that you don't want them to let you get close to it, which is a great justification. So you can see from the performance how I'll literally take their hand, place it on top, and you know, I'm making sure there's no opportunity for them to pick up that card and look at it prematurely, right? So just take charge of your performance. So now the setup on top is we have their signed card and the other duplicate down here. Now, this is the moment where a double lift is gonna need to happen again, this time kind of from scratch, right? So you can either go with your strike double lift, you can go with a push-off double lift, you can do your pinky count, whatever you need to do. Even if you need to do like a thumb riffle as your get ready, that's okay. I would just do it while you have something else to say, right? Do your get ready with another moment. So they've seen this card, I've placed it in their hand, all right, and I say, all right, take your other hand, place it on top, hold it tight, just like that. Now, If you can, while you do this, do a pinky count while you're saying that, that's fantastic. If you need both hands, you just bring both hands together. So you could say something as simple as, okay, so your card is there, now I need a card. So I'm just gonna take, and in that moment, I can get ready with two hands. So whatever you need, just try to get ready done. For me, I'm just gonna come and do either a strike or a push off, so there is no get ready for me. So then I would say, all right, I'm just gonna take the next card, we'll use that, that'll be my card, doesn't matter what it is. So this case, we'll go with the 8 of diamonds, right? So there's no real justification needed. You're kind of on a whim, you say, oh, I need a card, so let's just take the top card, okay? So I'll use this one, the 8 of diamonds. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that card, I'm gonna take it just like this. And then you set the deck down, and now you're each standing there with those cards in your hands like this, in between your hands. So I always like to set the deck down so I can, one, use my two hands and get the deck like it's feeling like it's way out of play, right? It also, it gets rid of that duplicate if you get the deck out of play. So I'll always, in the streets, sometimes I just throw it on the ground or put it in my pocket or whatever. You'll see from my performances, I have a very similar way that I generally like to handle this. And there's just a few key points that I want to talk about in whatever presentation you choose. So mine is, they'll go like this, and I'll say, I just want you to, give it a little squeeze, a little bit of pressure, but not too much pressure, and I'll wait a second, and I'll say, okay, just start to go like this, just pulse just a little bit, nothing too much. And then, a very key thing, which I'll talk about more in the subtleties section, is I take a peek and I say, hasn't worked yet. Okay, just keep going, just a little bit more, a little bit lower, perfect, that's it right there. And then I don't say anything, I just give it a little flick and turn it over and let it sink in. I don't say, and just like that, our cards have switched. I just turn it over silently. They know it's a very easily understood effect. They freak out, and then they'll instantly take a look at their card, and that's what really is the hardest hitting moment, because think about it, they've seen the card over here. They've had this card in their hand the whole time. You never went near it. They also believe it's this one, and somehow that card ends up in their hand. So that's the absolutely killer moment. My basic presentation, if you want to see it, sort of from start to finish in a real audience, you can go check out the performance again at the start of the video. But now I'm going to talk about some very important subtleties and important things to keep in mind that you can adapt to however you want to present this effect. So the first thing I will say is something needs to happen. So when you're in the position of their card in your hand, your card in their hand, something needs to happen that is the moment when the card switches, right? It can be a snap. It can be, for me, it's this pulsing, right? This pulsing thing, that's what's making it happen, right? If you don't have something that, even if it's ridiculous, right? Even if it's, oh, I gotta drink a can of Coke to make this happen, and every single time you do this, you chug a can of Coke, right? It's stupid, but that to them will always leave that little bit of doubt, like, did that actually have something to do with it? And it'll take away from this being just a puzzle that they need to solve. So for me, this is that moment. And I think presentation is super important with the transpo to really build up the effect. When you're in this moment, once you've got rid of the deck, it's all presentation. Really draw that out. Add time delay, add some misdirection, and just really draw that out. Make them feel things. Try to evoke some emotion. Ask them if they felt anything. Make sure there's a moment, something when they know or they can feel that something has happened. So one ploy or subtlety that I think everyone should use, and you can adapt this in different ways, is something I call the sort of has it worked ploy, right? And that is, in the way I use it, is we'll do something that they can think is the moment where the magic is happening. So for me, it's the pulsing. And then I take a look, I just take a little peek, and I say, no, it didn't work yet. A little bit lower. So what's important is you take a peek at the card, you say, no, it didn't work yet. First of all, that makes it feel like, you're basically miscalling the card, but it makes it feel like the cards haven't switched yet, and you are still in fact looking at their card, and it really does a great sort of psychological subtlety of making them feel like you are still looking at their card, which just makes the transposition that much more powerful. The other thing it does, and the other thing that's important, is after you say, no, it hasn't worked yet, make sure they switch something. They do something slightly differently, and that can be the reason it didn't work. So for me, I always say, no, just a little bit lower. And to them, that implies that they were too high before, and that's why it didn't work. And if you combine that, now it's really making that feel like the moment that the magic occurred. So you could do something else, right? You can say, okay, what I want you to do is just press right on the back of your card, right? And they come and they press. And maybe you do it at the same time. You say, okay, on 3, we're going to press on the back of our cards. 1, 2, 3, and we press. And then you take a look and you say, no, it didn't work yet. Did you press on the middle of your card, right? And make sure it's right in the middle this time, okay? 1, 2, 3, and then you reveal the transpo. So that is a great ploy that I recommend you can use, and you can adapt it in many different ways. And then, like I've talked about, just emphasizing once that card is in their hand that you don't go anywhere near it, back away, don't ever, this is the strongest moment of the effect, don't ever go anywhere near that card, don't touch it, don't do anything to it, let them, you know, reveal it and all that stuff. And then also the other moment you want to emphasize is when you say, okay, I'm just going to take a placeholder card. So this will be my card, the 8 of diamonds. I'm going to use the 8 of diamonds. I always repeat it at least twice, so it really emphasizes, because the first thing they're going to think when it's in their hand is, did I see the right card? Was that really his card? So you really just want to add a bit of extra emphasis to this card just before you flip it over and get into the real presentation. So now let's talk a little bit about some other ideas that you can do with this effect. So one thing that I do really urge you to employ here is the drop switch, and if you need a tutorial on the drop switch, you can go check it out up here. But the drop switch is something I created really particularly for the transpo. We're always trying to combat the problem of taking the card back from the spectator and flipping it over on top of the deck just to place it in their hand, right? Why wouldn't we just take the card and flip it over in their hand? And obviously, because we need to ditch a card, that's the reason. So the drop switch, once you get to this moment where you take their card back, place it on top, now you can take it, show it to them one last time, do the drop switch, and place the card in their hands, like directly into their hand, and it's switched out, and you've ditched it here. So one thing a lot of people do is the sort of card in mouth transposition, which at a certain point, once you're in the setup, right, once you are good to go and you have your card in their hand and their card in your hand, you can do whatever you want with them. So one thing that a lot of people do is they'll have one card folded up and they'll have the spectator place it between their teeth, then you place their card between your teeth, and now you can hold hands. Sometimes the magician will actually like pull the card all the way into their mouth, play around with it with their tongue, and then like spit it back out, and that's what they, you know, pretend like made the transpo happen. So many ideas like that to really help beef up your transpo, and card to mouth is one of those. Now, one other idea that I don't see a whole lot but is really great is the transpo, but instead of you participating, you just do it with 2 spectators, and the only difference is you need to just employ a force for the second selection. Because if you think about it, when you're choosing the card, it's essentially like a force. So why not just force it with someone else, and now the transpo happens supposedly with 2 freely selected cards in 2 separate people's hands, right? So it's a really great idea. So the way I do it, 1 duplicate on top, 1 on the bottom, and you go through to spectator number 1, they freely select any card that they want, they sign it, and of course, as they're doing that, you're gonna get into the setup, and you're gonna take their card, place it on top, just like that, and go through the exact same process to switch out the first duplicate. Now we just need to force this one, and we have the selection on top. So for me, I'm gonna come through, do my spread force. So I pull the card under, and I say, just touch anyone you want. They say this one right here, and I say, okay, this will be your card. Here you go, take that out. They take it out, and there's 2 options. Either you don't have this card signed, so then this one doesn't have to be signed. But what I often do is I do have the first one signed, and the second one I just make feel like an afterthought. I say, you know what, let's actually take another card just super quick. So let's say you pick this one here. Okay, perfect, we'll take that card, and now I just go straight into the rest of the effect without really, you know, giving them an opportunity to sign it. But, you know, the more congruent thing is to just not have either of them sign it, but it's up to you. So as they have taken this card out of the spread, you're gonna just do the same setup, flip this card face up, bring it on top, and you have now switched out both cards and are ready for transpo. Alright guys, that is it for me. I hope you love this video. The transpo is one of my absolute favorite effects and one of the most powerful effects that you can do. Hopefully you're able to get some value out of this. Even if you're familiar with the transpo, you're able to learn something, maybe a slightly different handling that you like better, or got some ideas. You know, my favorite thing in this video is talking about the has it worked yet ploy. I think that's a great ploy that should be used in really all transpos. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me a comment, a like, and of course subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. Got a lot of great stuff in the works, a lot of new videos coming, hopefully a few new series as well, and I will be filming some brand new street magic very soon. So with all that said guys, if you would like to check out some private lessons, you can, of course, at the link below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.